Badawaya though. What about the turn? What about the shot? Oh, roller Badawaya! That is magnificent! Fryer burns away from McKenna, hangs it up, Jensen! And it's Brisbane who hang on.
It was a true test of patience for Wellington Phoenix fans, drawing the bye in week 1, but the wait is over. It's a good ball in and it's found its way into the net fortuitous. Not completely away and hooked in. And we're locked up.
The redemption starts with Melbourne City. They score first. McMahon finds the net. The teenager, she puts them up by 4.
Groans of frustration from the fans as both teams are still looking for their first win of the season, and Adelaide are still looking for their first goal of the season.
The opportunity's there, and Matos! And Western City Wanderers hit the front. Takes a touch, sends it home, and Kennedy White, 2 goals in 2 games in the Ninja A-League. Strikes again! Well, she just loves scoring in the Ninja A-League, and she makes it 3. And very, very special victory for Melbourne's coach, Jeff Hopkins, in his 200th match in charge in the Ninja A-League.
Well, round 2 in the books, and we've seen some bangers. Our first look at the Knicks and City getting some revenge for their semi-final heartbreak. Hello and welcome to Dub Zone. I'm Amy Duggan, and as always, I welcome A-League's commentator Taya Pellizzeri. Only this week, we also have a special guest in the studio with us as well. Currently with Sydney FC and Ninja A-League champion with the Central Coast Mariners, Bianca Galic. Welcome to Dub Zone.
Thanks for having me.
Making your debut, which is wonderful, and you can kick us off if you like with your moment of the week.
Yeah, so I think my moment of the week would definitely be Badawia's goal. You can tell she's just a player that makes something from nothing, and she can hit just as well with her left foot as she can her right. So for me, it's really great to see her back in the league. I played with her 2 years ago at Central Coast, and yeah, I think it'll be an exciting season for Perth.
Yeah, they've got goal-scoring power, and Badawaya showed it there. But as a teammate of yours, is that something that was just commonplace every training session, or is that truly special from her?
No, that's something that we saw regularly on the training pitch. She's someone that if you can get the ball to her, whether it's inside the box, outside the box, she can make something from nothing. And I'm really happy for her. She's doing well, and hopefully she continues that form.
Just made our moment of the week 2 weeks in a row. Teo, what about you?
Well, I think it's got to be Jeff Hopkins, the first coach to reach 200 games in the Ninja A-League. Did so with a win, which is great in the milestone game. You see the leaderboard there. I mean, it's not just the titles, it's not just the success. It's that he went to Melbourne Victory at absolute rock bottom, even took over a team which was in such a state they won the wooden spoon in his first season there in charge. But he's been able to build programs, develop players, and I previously described him as the CEO of women's football at Melbourne Victory. He is one of the most valuable people in the game, and it's great to see that he's still going strong. And who knows, got so close on both fronts last year, second in the ladder, runner-up in the grand final, but who knows, maybe this year is Jeff Hopkins' year once again.
Yeah, it would be a great celebration of a wonderful coach at the same time. Teo, my moment this week, well, I gave you a goalkeeper assist last week, and I thought, well, I'll just give you another one this week, this time from Courtney Newbon. Straight through, over the top, we have it there. Very fast, Kennedy White onto the ball, and just the composure to stop, bring it inside and just finish it cleanly with the left foot. I was really happy with the direct style of play because we don't see it a whole lot in the game, although we have seen it 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. For me, I've played with Courtney for multiple years before we even faced each other in the elimination final, and then last year's recent grand final. We get on really well off the pitch, and I know, she's got the capability to do those long kicks, whether it's a clearance or a through ball, how we've seen win here, and she's got it in her back pocket, and Victory can obviously use that to the best of their ability this season.
I love it. Good heads-up footy. Anyway, let's kick off the results in Melbourne as City showed their teeth, putting 4 past the champions, and it was a 17-year-old at the heart of it, Teo.
Yeah, Shelby McMahon. So there's not just Holly McNamara, there's a second Mac that has hit the Central Coast Mariners. And this was a game that was actually in the balance for the first half an hour. And then I think the Mariners, as much as we expected them to be organised and defensively sound, they really struggled to deal with the speed of the Mac attack, particularly Holly McNamara's communication with Shelby McMahon. And even though she is only 17, she's really broken onto the scene. After Dubzone finished last year, she scored in both the semi-final and the final of the AFC Women's Champions League. So she's getting it done against opponents from other countries, never mind against the domestic league. And this was a statement. Melbourne City, they drew 2-2 with Sydney FC in round 1. Did it catch you by surprise, Bianca, that they were pedalled to the floor and they've put 4 without reply past the defending champions?
I mean, I think they definitely wanted a result in that first game, and you know, they definitely had a lot of the possession, and that's their style of play. They weren't able to get the win, and I think coming into this second game, that's something that they wanted to definitely put onto Mariners, especially after our semi-final game against them last year.
As a central midfielder yourself, how did you assess Shelby McMahon's position and role going head-to-head with her? She scored the opening goal right on half-time back in round 1, but that was sort of, to me, it looked like she was playing as sort of a shadow striker, a little bit more in attack. When your Sydney team prepared to go against Shelby McMahon, where did you assess her actual position and role as being, and who took defensive responsibility for her?
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at her style of play, she's definitely someone that can be very effective on the wing, but also as a very attacking 10. We probably prepared for her to be a little bit more central, but looking at that first goal, she was in the right position at the right time, and it was a good team play to obviously get that goal against us just before half-time. I think she's a fantastic player, and you know, telling off the goals that just happened on the weekend, she's got a lot more potential to come this season.
Nothing better when the ball drops right in front of you inside the 6-yard box and you know you're just going to be able to bury it, right? I want to go back to the semi-final last season, the infamous Izzy Gomez goal, of course, that broke City's hearts. It would have added some fire to Melbourne City in making sure that this wasn't just a result, it was an absolute demolition.
Yeah, 100%. I think for us that game was probably the biggest of the season that we had come up. And I think we were definitely the underdogs coming into that game. I don't think Melbourne City sort of had prepared for the game to go the way that it did, or the red card to play out the way that it did. They are, like I said before, a very possession-based team, and obviously they were on the back foot a little bit once they did get that red card. So coming into this weekend, and obviously after a draw with us earlier in the week, they would have wanted to let Mariners know that they're not going to have that result again. And I think not just Mariners, but every team needs to be aware that Melbourne City are going to be on the hunt because they didn't get what they were after last year.
I mean, I have a confession. I honestly thought both legs of the semi-final were going to go the way we saw at the weekend. It's a credit to the Mariners that they did not go behind in either leg of the semi-final. And it could have been a very different story at the weekend because the Mariners themselves had a really good opportunity to take the lead in this match before Melbourne City came through and steamrolled them. We're going to see it here. 0-0, 8th minute. Milena Mires, a bit of a hospital pass to Taylor Otto, who then coughs it up to Ivani Prakash, and then Izzy Coco DeCipio. Only the second game at that level in the league, and decision-making so important. It is a totally different game if the Mariners hit the front.
Do you know why I loved this moment from Melbourne, though? The desperation in defence to get back.
But
there are teams in the league that would have let this happen.
It's Groundhog Day from last season.
I don't have a problem with players making mistakes, Teo. Football is full of mistakes.
But it's the same mistakes not being resolved. Surely the coaches have had the entire off-season to say these are the sort of mistakes that we're not going to repeat in a new season after we saw it so many times last season.
In the pressure of the moment and early on in the game, sometimes players aren't 100% switched on, and it's something that you have to handle throughout a good warm-up, as you would know, Bianca. Yeah. But I don't have a problem with making mistakes. It didn't cost them at the end of the day because they fixed it on the park, and I think that is what the coach will be looking at more. Yes, the mistake shouldn't have happened. Let's work on making sure that that doesn't happen again, but what made me happier as someone looking at it with a coaching lens would have been that you made the effort to get back and stop the goal.
I'm looking at this through the lens of the only way Melbourne City can really redeem themselves is to actually win in the finals this year. So if you keep foreshadowing how you might lose a final in a crunch game at the end of the year, that to me says you're not actually fixing the problems which may really cost you in a big moment.
Getting the 1%ers right.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily hold any other team to the standard I am Melbourne City here, but they are Melbourne City. I assume that they hold themselves to that standard.
Okay, well, let's check in with Mariners captain Taryn King now, who was absolutely freezing on the sideline of Control Cyber Pitch.
It's tough conditions, freezing, lots of wind. It's tough when you have to face the wind in the first half, but that's how football goes. You win the toss and you get to choose which way you go, and City capitalised in the first half, and yeah, we're on the back foot, so it's tough.
Tough and cold, and losing the toss contributed to this. I didn't know that there was a superstitious kind of feeling around the Mariners, Bianca. Was it like that when you were captaining the side?
It wasn't, to be honest. It wasn't necessarily something. I mean, I don't know whether Taryn just said that in the spur of the moment.
Because she's so cold and her teeth
yeah.
What was your coin toss record?
Oh gosh, I have no idea. But you know, it obviously makes you feel good if you win it. But to me, I'd say the coin toss matters more in a penalty shootout, if anything. Not that it necessarily affected us last year, to be fair. But what I'd probably say is, you know, everyone has their own superstitions. There's people I play with that can only put their left foot, you know, left boot on their left foot before they actually walk out of the dressing room, or people that have to step onto the pitch with their right foot. So there's different things and different moments, and everyone, has their own quirks that make them play well. I mean, for me, when I was a little bit younger, I had heaps of superstitions. I, used to think if I ate the wrong thing, or, I saw something that day that would, throw me. But I actually played with this American years and years ago at Canberra United in my first season. And she's very blunt. Americans are blunt, but I love them. So this was Kendall Fletcher.
Okay, right.
And she sort of said to me one day, she's in the most passive-aggressive way, but, out of love, out of care. She said, if you really, think that superstitions are going to make or break this game, then, you're an idiot. You need to get, you need to get your shit together, because if you think this is going to make or break what you've been training for years, then kill it off. And I think that just sort of changed my momentum. And now for me, I sort of walk into a game, I'm like, it is what it is. Obviously, I still want the same grip socks and things like that as I normally play in, but if I forget them or if there's a hole in one, I'm just like, you know what, this isn't going to make or break, because that can really affect a game. And, you work so hard, and playing is the best part of the week, so I'm not going to ruin that.
No, don't do that. What was ruined, though, was the scoreline for your side on the weekend, sadly. Well, it wasn't that bad. It was another point, which you can be happy with. Sydney FC, of course, travelling to Adelaide. A scoreless draw with the Reds. Bianca, a clean sheet, but I think the roaring problem here is what is going on in front of goal.
Yeah, I think for us it's definitely something that we're needing to nut out quickly. I mean, we are only 2 games in, but obviously we need a lot more shots on goal. We need to be pressuring up top quicker, more aggressive, and we need to be testing goalkeepers out, because every team seems to be doing it to us so far. And if you watch the league games, there's lots of shots being taken in and outside the box, and I just don't think we're doing enough of it. We're definitely practicing it, and we're hoping to continue gelling in that front third, but results need to start happening.
Your own role, I mean, I was half surprised Dylan Holmes didn't follow you in here to the studio today, given the stifling nature of the marking and the contest in midfield. So yourself, Sarah Hunter, Mackenzie Hawkesby, pretty handy trio, but why was there so little breathing space? How much of that was down to Adelaide's application and setup, and how much of that was your own movement and trying to get the better of them, just not coming off on the day?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at Adelaide as a team, they've always been one of those teams that are hardworking and sort of relentless in the fact that it'll always be a battle. You never sort of walk into a game against Adelaide thinking, it's going to be a clean sweep. they work for each other, and they've been a fairly consistent team for a couple of years. I think their midfield did a great job against us. You've also got Taranto sisters in there now as well, who are relentless as well, and they've come from Western United and just adapted to the style of play that Adelaide have. You know, I'm not going to say that our movement was 100% our best either. I think there's definitely times in the game where we should have created options a little bit better for each other. But again, that comes down to knowing each other's style of play, and you know, I'm hoping that continues to build.
Shots on goal, shots on target, donuts throughout that match. So something definitely I think that Sydney can work on, of course. Teo, you were shorting Adelaide's stock a little bit last week, but there were some impressive moments in this match, and Erin Healy was a standout again.
I mean, they kept a clean sheet and they were better defensively, and they had the chance to win as well with a header from Matilda McNamara. It felt for a lot of the game like first to score would win. And amazingly, I don't know if you found this out after the game, it's the first time Adelaide and Sydney have ever played a draw. So since 2008. So these teams almost always find a winner, not this time.
Now, Bianca, 14-year-old Willa Pearson was the talk of our show last week, being so young, making her debut. She's kept a clean sheet in her second professional game now, standing tall against players like Erin Healy. What is it like having her at the back?
To be honest with you, when I first started playing with her, for the first 3 weeks in pre-season, I thought she was 3 or 4 years older than she is. So 14 to me is crazy. I just keep thinking, what was I doing at 14? But I mean, if you watch her play, she's composed. And yes, she does have a lot to learn, but I think she's got a great head on her shoulders, and she's very aware of you know, how much growth she's going to be doing in the next couple of years. And you talk to her off the pitch, and her football IQ is really great, actually. So I know, you know, we talk about age and things like that, but to come in, make your debut, and pretty much be in a really pivotal role, and secure it within 2 games, play against teams that have Healy, McNamara, some of the league's finest finishers, and do really well against them, that's a credit.
What about the value of mentoring? Because she stepped in for Nat Tobin, who would have been an ideal mentor. I've got to say, Madison Asen, her first 2 games have been excellent, and I'm sure the Philippines will be quite excited about pitting her against the Matildas at the Asian Cup, given she's getting acclimatised for her second season here in the league. But who is taking on the primary on-field role of sort of talking to Willa? Is it Asen as the centre-back partner? Is there a louder voice out there that kind of leads? Is it coming from you? You've had 2 different goalkeepers in the first 2 games. So where is the education on-field coming from? Or is it largely Ante, the soundtrack of the game from the technical area?
I mean, I think we've got quite a few leaders within our group this year. Maddie's next to her. She's obviously in her second year in the league. And then you've got Sarah Hunter in front, who I think is really good for Willa to have covering her from the front perspective. Myself, Macca, Tori Toomer's been there a couple of years as well. So there's quite a few leaders that are on the field. Nat Tobin's helping off the field as well. I think she's getting a lot of talk when she's at training and things of such as well. But to be honest with you, it's Willa. Like, it's, you know, like I said before, she's very composed, she's got a good head on her shoulders, and she knows what job needs to be done. So I'm not going to sit here taking the credit, because she's done it all her own. Well, let's hear from Willa herself following the match.
Willa, congratulations on keeping a clean sheet. Does playing in the Ninja A-League feel normal yet, 2 games in?
Absolutely not, absolutely not. It was a absolutely very, very super hard game, but yeah, very happy to keep a clean sheet. These guys are an absolutely superb team, and yeah, just very happy to get on the park again. The team's amazing. It's amazing culture, amazing vibe around the girls. So no matter your age, no matter where you stand, everybody's open to feedback, and that's something super, super special about Sydney, and I'm very lucky to be part of it.
Not quite another day at the office, but settling in nicely and settling into our Dub Zone team. Ninja A-League reporter Narlene Masto, welcome back to the desk, shining a light on some of our future stars. Who have you got set up for us this week?
Thanks, Amy. Well, thought it was only right that we learn a little bit more about one of your teammates, Bianca. Heather Hinz, the new American in the Sydney FC side. We chatted to her in pre-season to learn a little bit more about why she decided to make the move down under.
Hi, my name is Heather Hinz, and I am one of Sydney FC's goalkeepers.
Hinz, who went to college in South Carolina, comes in for her first appearance today.
I would say if you asked me a few years ago, I would say I'm just a very athletic goalkeeper and I throw myself at the ball. I like to say my game's improved since then, but I would say I'm pretty aggressive. Love a 1v1 so much. As a goalkeeper, I think one of the main traits that you need to have is bravery. Second is probably being crazy. My favorite type of save is called a spread, where you run as fast as you can and drop into a split. And just kind of hope and pray that you get hit by the ball. So that's just kind of shows the craziness of bravery. I love animals. My mom has this thing, it's called the Hinz. It's a TikTok where we have our 3 birds on there, our 15 turtles, our 3 dogs, my cat Fumble, and the fish, I think, that's it. But my mom loves birds, so here I've really kind of embraced the cockatoos, and I know a lot of locals said they don't like them as much because they're really loud, but it's like kind of like I have a little piece of her here with me because I see like the birds and it reminds me of my mom and I can send her videos of it. I really, really wanted to come to Australia. And in high school I said the only team I actually know of was Sydney FC. And then my friend Madison Asen, texted me and she said, hey, I think there might be an opening at Sydney. You should just like put your name in there. So Houston helped me out and we put my name in there and then somehow I ended up here, which is crazy because I never thought I'd be able to play here. I thought that was too far reach, but now I'm here and I'm really excited.
Interesting to hear about how Madison Asen played a role in bringing her over and keeping a clean sheet over the weekend. Got to ask, first off, did you know she had that family TikTok account with the animals?
We did. She brought it up in pre-season and it's, yeah, I guess one of her fun facts that is probably the funnest of facts, if anything. Crazy, but you can tell in her voice how passionate she is about it and how close to home it is. So it's awesome that she can come here and be herself.
I was loving you chatting earlier about Americans, how blunt they are, and that kind of made me think, are there any kind of cultural differences you've noticed with the new Americans in the team? Like how is everyone gelling?
Yeah, everyone's gelling really well. I mean, I know for us women's, our pre-season's a lot shorter than the men's, which I'd probably say does make a big difference. And those first few rounds, you're still trying to get things happening on the pitch how you would like. But I think, to be honest with you, and I've said it to them, all Americans are blunt. They're very to the point, and I think that's how they play over there as well. It's aggressive. They're probably a lot older age groups as well, and women can probably handle a little bit more than when you're younger. You're still trying to figure out what, I guess, emotionally and physically you're going through coming into the A-League. So over there's probably a lot more screaming and abruptness about, if you miss a pass or you play a crap ball, whereas here we have to sort of sugarcoat it a little bit, which is fine, but we are going to do Thanksgiving, so I'm really excited for that.
And pumpkin pie, all the good things.
Exactly, turkey, anything food, I'm around, so it can work.
Love that. Well, let's pivot slightly to something that happened in the Perth Glory Brisbane game. I don't know if you caught this, but there was a very odd free kick routine, you can say. So Brisbane were awarded a penalty, as we see here, and then the wall is way far back. I mean, Taya, would you say that's over 25 metres?
We got the lab out. Do you know that Gout can only run that in 13 seconds? That's how far back the wall was from the free kick. I don't understand what was... There were a few curiosities in that game. I thought Ben Homer did a great job keeping track on the foul count for Willa Pearson as well. 7 fouls without a yellow card, he pointed out during the call. But this is... the free kick itself didn't score. The defensive ward, you could say, did its job, even though it was a long way back from where the free kick was given.
Bianca, are you taking notes there, or you kind of left with a bit of questions?
I think I was a little bit confused just watching that clip. I haven't seen that before. I think someone's got to tell them to step, right? Like, if you're going to be a wall, you're going to try to stop the...
Don't you want to be pushed back by the referee? Like, encourage just a little bit.
Yeah, I think you always start too close and then you wait for the pushback.
Yeah.
I never start too far back anyway. The refs probably know that. So.
Sticking to that Perth Glory Brisbane game, we heard their head coach, Stephen Peters, also mentioned that one of his players promised a backflip.
We get the goal. I think Lincoln did really, really well with that. She promised a backflip, by the way, but, she knew that we were losing.
Ella didn't end up doing the backflip for obvious reasons, but it did get us thinking about some iconic goal celebrations we've seen over the times in the Ninja A-League. When you think of glory, you think of that woman, Sam Kerr, doing backflips, easy as you like. No one does it better than her. And also the time with Canberra United duo, back in the day, Maya Malkowski and Aideen Keane, a little gunshot role play, you can call it, well timed. And of course, your former team, Bianca, Central Coast Mariners, Badawea, scoring a banger, and immediately going into the row your boat routine, you got involved. Tell us the story. Was it pre-planned or did it kind of just happen spontaneously?
Yeah, I mean, I think with these celebrations in that season, we just had some fun. We also had Una, our Chinese international, who was fantastic at thinking of all different types of celebrations, and she scored enough goals to obviously show them all off. But we thought, let's bring the team into things, because hers seemed a little bit, you know, only she could add in on them. I think she sat with her legs crossed against Canberra United and started meditating like Haaland in one. So we brought up the rowboat at training, and we thought if we're scoring and we're winning.
That's great, but you didn't make it. You're not part of the rowboat. You're just standing there watching.
I am, because I'm thinking, geez, I think this rowboat's, you know, ending soon. And then another player came, and then I thought, okay, this is awkward now. I'm standing for too long. I think we've got to go back to halfway now. So I didn't get part of that one, but there was plenty others that we had some fun with, and yeah, they all started training.
Yeah,
Love it.
I was going to say, you literally missed the boat.
I missed the boat.
Yeah, totally did.
That's a good one. Goal celebrations are one thing, but you got to tell us, was there any stories of what happened after that grand final win? Anything between the girls that kind of went bonkers afterwards?
I mean, I think anything that happens after the game stays after the game.
Oh.
But we definitely enjoyed ourselves. You know, we worked hard that season, and I think, like Teo mentioned before, we were definitely underdogs to make it through the semi-finals and obviously win the grand final. So for us, it was a massive win and one that we had to do away from home in Melbourne. So a lot of us didn't have too many family or friends join us, but we made use of all the loved ones we had.
Family and friends being there makes it all the more special. Narlene, thank you for all those moments. I love a good celebration. I love a crazy free kick routine, so continue to bring them back week after week. Thanks for your time on the panel today. We're going to continue that grand final winning feeling with this moment.
It's Bianca Galic, whose penalty in the elimination final last season eliminated the victory and won the shootout for the Mariners. If history repeats, it will be the trophy in Central Coast hands. To win the grand final, Bianca Galic is good with the penalty. And the Central Coast Mariners are the Ninja A-League champions of 2025.
Well, goosebumps is how Icewoman Bianca Galic has described that moment at Amy Park in the grand final, sealing that fairy tale final win for the Central Coast Mariners. Bianca, it's great to have you with us. Saturday we'll see a rematch of the grand final, of course, at home of the Matildas. What is going to be the difference between the two teams this time around?
I mean, I think Victory definitely going to have that fire in their belly to get something back after that grand final win that the Mariners took. I think you can, you know, tell on their faces how disappointed they were. They obviously had a great season last year, you know, as did we, but we came out on top as underdogs, and it was a moment for Mariners that was very rich in the history, considering they were only 2 seasons back in. I think this weekend's going to be really exciting. The Mariners are definitely going to have to bounce back after their City defeat, and for Melbourne, they're just going to have to continue their fine form. They had a great win against Wanderers, and if they can link up how they did against the Mariners, they'll put some goals away.
One key to bouncing back, though, is going to be Izzy Gomez, because didn't even get on the plane to come down for the game against Melbourne City. A precaution. She played so well off the bench in round 1, but clearly is being managed with a minor strain that has kept her limited for the first 2 weeks. If she's not there, obviously you've moved on, how do the Mariners compete with Melbourne Victory in that midfield?
I mean, I think just talking about last season, we had our backs each other's backs off the field as well. And I think, you know, injuries are going to happen. They're going to be part of the game, and because the season's so long, they're just something that we have to deal with as players, and we have to be professional about it. And if you've got a good squad coming off the bench, you know that they're going to fill their role as best as they can. It's obviously going to be a new squad for Mariners, considering myself and Taylor Ray have moved on. But the girls in there at the moment, you've got Greta, who was there last year, and Tess Quilligan again, who was there last year, and they've also picked up Avani. So I think if they can, you know, bring that in this season, it will be good.
I just feel like without Izzy, they're missing this enthusiasm and this intensity and this grit and this fight out there. Like, she's super important for those things, not on the ball as much as she's fabulous on the ball, but the off-the-ball energy that she brings.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and I think you can tell our finals run last year, she did a fantastic job at owning her moments and scoring goals when they mattered most. I think they're going to miss that coming into that 10 role and attacking third of the field on the weekend. And I think hopefully there's other girls that can be confident and step up and take that on. If she, you know, isn't back this weekend, then she's back the following weekend. But she obviously made a great impact in round one. That's going to be needed for them again.
Well, something that the Mariners will have to contend with, Teo, in defence is the upfront of the victory, and Kennedy White scoring a hat-trick this week. Absolutely outstanding. I love seeing players who are supposed to put the ball in the back of the net, putting the ball in the back of the net, and she did that quite comfortably, and also had an assist in this one. We had the conversation last week about our favourite American player, and she's fast growing on me, I have to tell you.
Growing on you? Well, I mean, there's no Kennedy curse just yet for the American. I mean, coming from a level that was really hard to assess in the Hungarian league, but she has been prolific everywhere she's gone, and I think the ability to move and get into space at speed is what will be the great asset here. Victory were looking for an M. Gilnick replacement. I don't think it's like for like with Kennedy White, but it's certainly a player that fits the mould of a physical presence. And we know that Gilnick, at her absolute best, was also someone who intimidated defences by running at them. I think instead of dribbling on the ball, it's more White's movement off the ball, which was observable in that Wanderers game. But who knows? She's already scored a couple of different types of goals. And when you've got 4 after the first 2 games, sky's the limit.
Maybe an early Golden Boot contender, we will see. Let's get some quick hits to wrap up the round. Perth, of course, went down 3-2 in that scrappy match to Brisbane, but will travel to Leichhardt to take on the Sky Blue and you, Bianca, this weekend. What have you got to be on the lookout for this team besides Roller?
Yeah, I mean, we already spoke about Roller before, but I think they're a team that have to travel quite a lot during the season, and this is early days for them. They've always been quite good, you know, getting back into games as well. So obviously on the weekend they didn't manage to get back against Brisbane, but they're a team that play for 90 minutes, so you really can't underestimate them.
Has Madison Asen briefed you on Emma Tovar, her Philippines teammate, who you will no doubt be going head-to-head with in midfield?
Not yet, but I'm going to have to ask her about it. She hasn't prepped me.
Very, very good at moving the ball and shifting the lines, Tovar. And Perth did score 2 goals. I mean, they have scored 5 in their first 2 games, left on the losing side here, not for a lack of chances. And they had an agonisingly close moment to a 3-3 equaliser with Oni Zog, just a ball skimming off the top of her head with what could have been the header in for 3-3 right at the end of the game in stoppage time. So they haven't won away in Sydney for a very long time, so no pressure.
We'll keep it that way.
But they will back themselves at Leichhardt Oval as the travelling team this week.
All right, we also got our first look at Beverly Priestman's Nick's side as they shared the chocolates with Canberra United. What did you make of our first look at the Bevolution, Teo?
Well, they would have been disappointed going behind to this goal. I think that Alyssa Wynnum after the game said she started as a wing-back and then in the second half went into creative midfield, the number 10 role, but was on limited minutes. She sets up Samba Bhandari's last shot on goal, but it's with 25 minutes to go. And the Phoenix don't have another shot on goal after Alyssa Wynnum is subbed off. If there's no Annalie Longo, they need 90 minutes of Alyssa Wynnum. Samba Bhandari had chances in this game, maybe a little bit of nerves on debut, carrying that weight of expectation. The Nepalese fans have rallied around the Ninja A-League. Like, they absolutely are following her every move. So as soon as she hits the back of the net, Knicks are going to explode. But she needs the midfield support to put her into goal-scoring positions, and that's where Wynnum is so important.
Is it tough travelling over there?
It is tough, but to be honest with you, going to Wellington is actually easier than going to Perth. It's a lot less travel time. And I think the only real grab of Wellington is how windy it is. It was really aggressive last year when we played them, and I know, don't blame the elements, but it does make a big role, because if you are a high pressing team and you've got the wind against you, it can make a difference.
I noticed no Wellington Phoenix players made your team of the week, Teo.
No.
Should we have a look at that?
Perhaps because the game didn't have a great deal of attacking and the defences weren't really tested.
So who is in it?
Well, we're rewarding a lot of the players that scored goals this week. The formation is a back five. Now, I wanted to pick 2 left backs, so I've kind of cheated. I've put Kirsty Fenton in the middle of a back five, but she was outstanding on the left. Amy Medwin, really good pickup for Brisbane. Rachel Lowe, that killer pass through ball for Kennedy White's second goal was perhaps the pass of the weekend. And then it's hard to go past the Mac, White, the other Mac. Tough weekend for the goalkeepers. Sally James, perhaps the best of the goalkeepers this week, without having to be brilliant. But I want to really hone in, because we haven't spoken much about Brisbane, who are 2 wins from 2. Sian Fryer. She was the reason they raced to the top of the league last season, and they've got Wanderers at home coming up this week. Sian Fryer is the litmus test for every fullback in this competition. We are a league filled with attacking wing-backs who love to get forward and contribute to the attack. The reason I've got Medwin and Fenton in at left-back this week is because they are fullbacks that can defend. Medwin's lucky. She only has to go up against Sian Fryer in training. I am really looking forward to seeing what Danica Matos and Ella Buchanan can do as the fullbacks trying to shut down Sian Fryer this week.
A tough ask, Bianca. What's she like to play against?
I mean, she's rapid. Yeah, she's one of those players that will chase every ball down, even when you think it's definitely going out. She's technically great and she's got speed. So from a winger perspective, she's exactly the player I'd want to be passing the ball to, and a player that I could trust up top to make something out of nothing. I mean, in that goal there was not much on. She took it wide, she took it to the byline, chip over, back post goal.
Yeah, for most defenders, you'd think that ball's going out, but due to her pure speed, she manages to get it across and pick up the classy assist. Shall we take a look at what your weekend of football looks like? Because it all kicks off on a Friday night at 7 p.m. with Adelaide United hosting the other United in Canberra. Sydney FC and Perth Glory, Leichhardt Oval, 2:45 on Saturday. Victory in Central Coast Mariners. Phoenix in their New Zealand derby of sorts against a very strong Jets New Zealand contingent, and Raw and Western Sydney Wanderers. What are the games we're most got our eye on, Teo?
Well, the Raw were so unlucky with the horrendous weather in round 1. They should be getting 3,000 plus down to Spencer Park. They're top of the league. It's first against last, and they want the revenge because this is the rematch of the 4-all draw, which mathematically eliminated them from finals last season. These are the weeks as a fan. You get along to a great ground at Spencer Park. You enjoy the experience. They roll into bye week. They have no excuse not to be 3 from 3 and clear top of the league.
And a win on the board, Bianca. That would top off a great weekend.
That's right. We've got to get there. Leichhardt Oval, really great family atmosphere. I think it's so good playing at home. There's nothing better. And you want to protect your fortress. So we're going to get that win. All right. I know you said before against Perth, so you got to score to win. So that's how we're going to get it done.
Well, Teo Pelzeri and Bianca Galic, thank you so much for your time on Dub Zone this week. To all of you out there, get down to a ground and support these players. They're doing a remarkable job already this season. If you can't do that, make sure you watch all of our games on Paramount Plus, and we'll be back next Tuesday to wrap it all up for you. I'm Amy Duggan. Enjoy your week in football.